Alright peeps, welcome back to Split City episode 13. In the last episode we got this beautiful little French district all upgraded and everything. Plopped a little bit of high density Chinese housing on the crack. And in this episode we're gonna be plonking even more high density nonsense down on this wee triangle island here. As well as connecting this swamp together with loads of wee bridges. But before we do any of that, we need to sort out these pedestrians all over the motorway. It is absolutely no good. And it's all down to this dodgy little park here. I've done heaps of testing on this park, and for some reason pedestrians didn't like using this one bit here. They'll use the rest of it, but not this one little bit. But before we bulldoze it completely, I want to try one thing. And that's getting a path out, right on the edge of the motorway here, bypassing the park completely for those that want to get to the underground bus station. Now that looks canny to me. What's it look like when it's all plopped in? Not too shabby. I'd say we'll get a little bit of a retaining wall action on the inside there, and there we're gone. Properly sorted. And look at that, we got pedestrians using it already. Gone in straight past. So hopefully that means the pedestrians can get off me bloody motorway. Well, only time will tell with that. In the meantime, let's dive into this triangle about island here. I've been having a look at these fancy pants residential units that we're just not going to unlock, because I'm not going to be zoning hundreds or thousands of cells for particular housing. So we're going to go ahead, use find it, fill our signature buildings. And if you remember from the last episode, I said that these islands have got a solid foundation and can hold some big old weight. I mean, maybe the triangle about can't hold that much weight. Let's find a smaller little high-rise. Colossal tower. Oh, aye. That could fit canny along the front here. Well, let's plonk Colossal tower in. Right there. Now we've got a proper high sky in the pie rise. That's the view you met with as you come atop the spiral about and you see where your new home is. I mean, there's a good chance you can't access your new home, but we'll worry about that at some other point, you know. For now, I'm looking for a building that I unlocked, and the blurb was saying it was saved from being a high-rise unit. And I feel like with all the high-rises we've got here, we should use that. There it is, the Vajag building. Was saved in the 1960s from being torn down for modern high-rises. So let's go. Let's plonk this right on the back here. Look at that bard lad sitting there with the high-rise behind it. Oh, yes. It's coming along. But I want to do one more little strip of housing here. Because this is a business, isn't it? Yeah, commercial. We definitely need plenty of residents around. And I remember loving the Constellation apartments in Upper Height. So, Constellation Apartments? Yes! You know what, actually first, let me get this properly lined up and squeezed up on the back of the hotel here. Now that looks about as perfectly squeezed and symmetrical as you can get it. Let's stop this building from whinging, actually get a road connected. Just a small pedestrian street though, you know, nothing special. We just need the necessary access. What having that street actually gives us is a nice little bit of zoning to plonk a Constellation Apartments on. Right there. And then I'm pretty sure there's another building that's rather similar to the Constellation Apartments. Let's see if I can find it here. Vista building, that's the one. You see, it's got a very similar aesthetic to the old Constellation Apartments. Oh, but the issue is the roundabout on the back of the building will be in the middle of the roundabout on the actual road. What about Vertigo Square? That's behaving a bit nicer. Well, now I've got these two row buildings. Are they actually the same height? Oh, they're the same height! Right, I'm pretty confident there's another row building, right, that's actually shorter than those. I want to cop some Stuart Little vibes. Is this it? Oh, this might be it, you know. It's it! Now look at that Garbo truck flying through the Constellation Apartments. I was going to say, look at that little bloody hoose in the middle of the two massive hooses. Let's jump to the front. Oh, yes. I absolutely adore that little view there. The old hoose and the two new ones. Now, as was illustrated by the Garbo truck, we're going to have to shift these nodes and ruins about a little bit. So let me select all the nodes on the island here, including all the buildings. So I do believe that's all of these clicked. Let's shift the whole island closer towards this bloody road here. I might even give the island a mild rotate, you know, as one does, Alright, so now we've got a little bit more space from the outside. Let's dive in. Deselect all of these little nodes, and I'd rather not have to touch these front two roundabouts if we can avoid it. And you see how this node's all the way up against the Vajag building, but this node's all the way over here. Let's sort that out, bring it in. Let's shift this roundabout back a bit. And now we need to go into alt mode and start properly messing about here. I'll do the top bit of the triangle first, and then we'll work our way up down to the base. Well, that's the tip of the triangle about done. I love the little track that the traffic's going to take here. Proper out of the path and smashing off the key wall to get round as quick as you can. And I will fine tune this a little bit. I just don't want to take off 15 hours of your time doing that. Now for this front bit here, I'm hoping we can just sort of bring this out a bit. A little something like that. Ah, it didn't work. Maybe I'm going to have to do the same trick where I bring a node out like this. And then spin around. Bring these nodes back as well. How is that? Ah, look, there was a spot there where everyone was happy. There it was. Everyone's happy. I just need to sort of do that all the way around all of this. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and catch back with yous. And there we have our fantastical triangle about island that supports all the high rises we could want. It's just a shame about that entrepreneur in the 60s that now has a listed building that can't get anywhere. I mean, we love our heritage here in Split City. And as is the case, our brand new building has got a waiting for hearse warning already. Where is the hearse anywho? Can we see it taking the traffic? Oh, we certainly can, because I haven't removed any bloody traffic lights from this whole swamp reclamation project. Right, that's going to have to be something we sort of do this episode and all. Now, there is a very good reason why I've been waiting to do all of the road stuff and just dealing with all of this nonsensical traffic that it causes. And that's because before we mess around with any of that, we need to go ahead and sort the bridges out. And since we have a perfect little bridge to begin with, why didn't we use our test bridge here as a wee example of what I'm on about? You see, if we connect a path directly onto the road like that, and I stop creating it, it creates a crossing. For now, we're just going to connect this bad lodge straight into a temporary pathway under the railway there. It even sorts a little bit of zoning out. And look at all the cars freaking out and kicking off. Nah, I think this is just the first point they get to do an actual U-turn and they just want to get amongst it. Let's force them to keep going straight. Straight into a pedestrian crossing. So the way I'm going to do crossings over here is if I can connect a path on the other side, ideal. If not, I'll connect a bridge and get the crossings there. And any other crossings that are on the map, especially this main ring road here, they're going to get gone. As well as every single traffic light that's spawned in the last couple of episodes, of course. That's just the way we do it in Split City. So if we stick with over here, you see our pedestrians. They can get onto the little cul-de-sac there, onto both sides of the quay walk, can do onto the main road there. But if they want to get onto the triangle about island, for example, they have to go all the way down onto the main road around and back up again. That's nae good. So why didn't we get out a casual covered pedestrian bridge here and make our pedestrians day? Even if it does need extensive movement action. First of all, we adjust the height down to the rest of the swamp, and then I'm going to grab the ones on the end, bring them all the way in, and then take the two middle ones and give it a little bit of an arch. You know, not much of an arch, but just a little bit. And it looks like when it gets too small, you get an M instead of an arch. Well, it's only gone up the one on the page up. You could still get a kayak under there, not a matter. So now pedestrians have got this tidy little cross here, and you can see a lot of them are using it already. Look at them, got it straight across. I bloody love it, me, like. But we can make it a little bit nicer for these pedestrians by adding a tiny little bit of cut-through action where this conveniently bit of green ground is. Now, of course, we're not just going to pop a bloody ordinary path on here. That's boring. We're going to whip out a canopy-covered parquet here. So let's plonk our diagonal canopy-covered park down. Get these surfaces sorted. And then we got a fancy little park down in the Japanese estate. But let's continue our pedestrian bridge adventure. Now, this gap here is a bit too large for a bridge, like. We can't be having that. So we're going to plonk the bridge right here where it's narrowest. But don't worry, we are actually going to put a bridge on this little roundabout here. It's just going to be down the bottom, you know. So to finish off the bridges on our little triangle island here, I'm going to come off one of these nubs, and of course, it's going to be the teeny weeny nub here. That's the tiniest bridge yet. Look at that. But I like that. We got two bridges on here, one bridge off in the middle here, and a bridge off down there. I suppose we've started going in an anti-clockwise direction now. We may as well continue with a connecting bridge down here. A tidy little connecting bridge over here. And I know this is a bit of a larger gap. We usually wouldn't bother spanning that. But the key owner over here is an absolute arse. And I just can't be arsed with him. So we're just going to put bridges avoiding his little shape. So not as many. But this is a very simple little cut through at the bottom there. We don't have any facility for pedestrians to cut through here, so why would I put any bridges on the middle? Now I would love to put some sort of pedestrian access through the Bourne Boulevard here, however, every single one of these hoses either side of it, mucho unnecessary. I cannot sacrifice a single one of them. So we'll just slide on past the Bourne Boulevard. I see a connector path here where the kink suits. Beautiful. And then following our fancy curve around, it narrows a bit here, so let's plonk a bridge on right there. Now I don't see the point in putting any bridges here, because we're right on this little intersection. But this bit down here, for example, we definitely need a bridge or two. If you want to get over here, you have to walk all the way around there and around just to get over. Let's plonk 3 fancy little bridges connecting these key walls. We'll call it a bridge boot. And then that'll do round here, so let's move on round to our here. I'm going to be wanting to connect from the actual key path. Just real casually right next to that existing crossing, you know. And then if we move on up from there, we're going to come to this fancy little roundabout, where you guessed it, we're going to be plonking a bridge on. Now the reason we got 2 so close together here is I'm not going to plonk a bridge connecting these 2 keys. You can walk all the way to the fancy bit of the French pedestrian estate, you know. The same goes for this bit. If you're walking this bit, you're doing it for pleasure. You didn't need a bridge over here. And is that it? Is that all the bridges? I thought there was going to be loads more bridges than that. Now there is still one bridge technically, but before we plug that in, I need to shift this bloody path up a wee bit. Look at that steep hill on the back of the high school there. Absolutely no good. So this back bit here is got to be the same level. Pause. As the high school there. And you've got to be careful when you use and move it. You've got to be ready to pause in case any of these bloody shenanigans knock a boot. But now we should be big chilling with our levels. Oh, we're looking at right there. I've just got it so it does a nice little slant down to the actual level. Because this bit is a bit higher than the rest of the swamp, to be fair. Right, well, let's resume the game. Hopefully we didn't get too much water knocking about. Because I want to connect a path from right on here, all the way down and around to the tippity top of this little bit here. Real casually squatting now at the top of the servo there. It does need lifted a bit like. Oh, it's created a roundabout. Alright, temporary roundabout on the slip roads. We'll get that sorted though, don't worry, we'll get it sorted. Let's take a couple of these nodes here. Height adjust them to the top of there. That should bring them up a nice bit. So now we've got our wonderful pedestrian bridge gone now at the top of the servo there, connecting in. The pedestrians are loving it. That's what it's all about. We do need to sort out this bit roundabout. And there's a few ways this can be done. You can either just simply delete the actual thing and the roundabout disappears. Doesn't happen very often. Most of the time you have to actually plonk a roundabout in there, then whip out the bulldozer tool, delete the roundabout, and all of a sudden we're happy days, isn't it? Once you remove the traffic lights, that is. But yeah, now there we go. We've got our fancy free-flowing intersection back. Everyone's happy around here. Nobody's de-zoned. Happy days. And there's no roundabout in the middle of that nonsense. Now while we're over here, I do want to pop another path. We're going to go from the edge of this key path, straight along the high school, connecting it to the fancy curved street just like that. Yeah, now it looks like this building was manually placed by myself a while ago. Unfortunately, getting manually deleted, pal. And look at this once again. We've got pedestrians absolutely blasting doing this bit path. And don't mind me, I'm just going to magic up some space over here. That space magicked up there. We can find the corner of this building, connect a tidy little path down, all the way connecting into the corner of the quay, and coming straight along to connect into the road. And then where we've got this existing crossing here, we're just going to real casually bring a path out and connect it on into the side of the high school here. And look at this beast. Pedestrians are going to absolutely adore this bit of pathway here. Well, that's it for new connecting paths. All I need to do now is go around and make all of these bridges here all fancy and that. But I won't do that with these. I'll do that on my own time. For now, I want to come over here and check on me motorway. Oh, look at that. Not a single pedestrian walking across it, as it should be. And do we have a really busy little bit of pathway here? Where I would be? How's the routes on here, Gannon? You see, they're still just refusing to use this bit of pathway. Look at that, we've got pedestrians even gone and doing, cutting up and gone into the park. This bit of path must be bugged or something. Like, I'm not gonna worry about it anymore. It's working. Well, it's not working. It's worked around. I completely lied when I said that was the last bit of connecting path we're gonna pop on. There's the whole bloody under the railway path that needs to be plonked in properly. Unfortunately, that does mean deleting the entire path temporarily. Now I am going to leave the game paused while I do this bit of path building. That's purely because of the inevitable zoning nonsense that's going to happen. Well, I was expecting more than one building to kick off, but still, buildings will kick off for zoning. And I'm going to be getting me big old key path out here, and I'm going to try my best to get this bad lad directly underneath the actual railway. Well, I'd say this is a bloody fair dinkum pathway. Guns all the way underneath the railway. Absolutely nowt's a matter. Now, there is unfortunately a little bit of dodginess I saw. Look at this. It's trying to create a bloody tunnel through the path. You're supposed to connect in, man. Let's try fixing this bit of path first. We'll use Move It and all the upgrade tools to get it all leveled out and happy. And then unfortunately, we're just going to have to redo this bit of road here. Now we can get it connected back in all fancy like. Is old mate still kicking off about his zoning? Why are you kicking off about your zoning? You're a different person. You were kicking off about your zoning before. Now it's ye. You know what? I'd have to give you a bloody fair dinkum for that. Like, let me move this back a bit. You can have your zoning back. Everyone else is happy zoning wise. Let's resume the game. And connect Terrace Hill's massive skywalk system all the way up to bloody Evergreen Swamp here. And we're just gonna real casually carve our way in, you know, as one does. At a nice casual 9.8% gradient. And would you look at that, we've got connectivity in Split City like never before. There's never been any sort of connection out on the west side of the city here. It's all been focused up in the east here where there's heaps and heaps of connections. And do we have a pedestrian about to use it? Oh no, they were just having a bit life. Why are you going down here just to turn around, mate? Legit though. Why? Yeah, exactly. What on earth is going on here? Everyone just pretending to use the bridge, eh? Oh no, look, we've got some pedestrians using the bridge. It's all good. Although it is a bit weird that they have to go down and around to get to the bridge. What's the crack with that like? Let's follow these two, blue and red. Oh, what did that brown do? Edit that MiGly, review in post. I just think the pedestrians are just on one. It's all good. I did make it a bit fancier though, I added a little bit of a curve on at the end there. And without further ado, it is time to remove any and all traffic lights that have spawned on these routes here. Alright, so with all of these pesky traffic lights out of here, we're going to have absolute traffic pandemonium until we're sorted out all of the lane management and priorities and whatnot. Especially over here where I've got this road backwards. I mean, I can actually understand why it's backwards though, to be fair. It is a backward road. Oh, and of course me ring road actually isn't all of the ring road, it's the bloody side of it. Alright then. So we can call this one ring around there, and this one could be called ring road. So together, we've got ring around the ring road. Everyone knows that's the way you're supposed to go round. AKA, that's our priority route there. And that priority route does intersect with itself. A proper fun number, innit? So let's start off by removing all of these unsafes, removing any straights where we've got turns just to simplify the lanes, remove any duplicate turns, and I think that's about as simple as we're gonna get it. Priorities wise, we'll have this right turn given way, and this right turn given way, and that should be Spotty Dog. Continuing along our ring road, we now have a proper triple decker interchange, or just a copy of the last intersection, with limited turns to keep everything flowing. And then the priorities on this one, we're just making the give way / yield any right turn there. Hamilton Street doesn't have to give way because they've got their own lane on. This one, very simple, just remove the U-turns and unsafes. We're happy days, isn't it there? This one's very similar to the last one, we're just going to cut off that right turn. And the only difference is that's a give way, which it already is, so happy days. Now before we move on to the backward intersection, let's sort out our bloody crossings here. So I've got no problem with pedestrians crossing this away. I want to try and remove all of the crossings on the outside without removing crossings on the berm itself. Oh, perfect! So that's exactly what I want the crossings to be like. Straight out of the berm there. Now I plonked a bit of path on the other side of this bridge here, just to get the crossing in. So we're definitely leaving this one on. Right here, I'm quite happy to remove crossings all on that intersection there. Oh no! Why? Please come back on. No. Why? Why? Yeah, this is the most frustrating. Not a problem. We're just going to have 2 bits of crossings because why not? It's all fun and games, man. And yeah, now traffic lights, get out of here. Now let's simplify this crossing by removing these 3 and leaving the 3 on the outside. Happy days. Happy days. The actual triangle about, I think, oh, hello big skyrise. We're not too concerned, but we will clean it up just a tad, you know. A little something like that. Now, intersections wise, this is a fun one because as I was saying, it's a tad backward. We're doing my usual cleanups. That looks fine. I suppose the issues come when we get into priorities. Although if it's already set to give way, then it's already set to give way. That's not even an issue, is it? Now this right turn is crossing traffic, so that needs to give way. This left turn is technically crossing traffic, however, that's this left turning lane up here, which is already set to give way. So big priority, let's go. And everyone else is just big chilling. That wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be honest with you. Over here, we don't need any giveaways. That's the reason this is a whole backward road here. Is because there's no reason to be gunning straight ahead. You just need to be coming out of the triangle about. But because this is City Skylines 2, I will put an unsafe connection there, just, you know, for emergency services and the like. You never know when they're going to need a bit of access. But yeah, as I was saying, I made this road here backwards so that this backwards roundabout can come off without crossing itself. Which it would have if it was a left-hand drive bit of road there. But yeah, nah, I'm just going to crack along, go through all of these little intersections, you know, make sure that people aren't doing dodgy U-turns when they shouldn't be. And if there's any interesting intersections come up, I'll let you know. But for the most part, it's just going to be rinse and repeat what we've already done. And when you look at this, the first bloody intersection when I left here is a bloody interesting one. Because our ring road, as you can see there, guns are ruined the side, this right turn has to be a priority. Don't want it slowing down, we want it straight through. But the rest of these priorities are spot on, and there's the lane connections for you. So this is what I've settled for most of the little road intersections on this side of the little ring road. The straight aheads have priority to go into both of these lanes, and that's often just because there's a little lane choice directly ahead of them. Particularly here, we can't have this lane stuck on the right and then forcing the AI to cut over at the last second. I mean, they'll probably do that anyway, but at least they've got an option to not do that now. And then for the little semicircle here, I've just got all of the lanes doing what they want to do. But when you're on the semicircle, you've got to give way to the main strip. The absolute basics of road hierarchy there for that giveaway sign. Tell you what, like the high density commercial is really not interested over here, is it? Oh, hold up, this is all low density, isn't it? Didn't I say this was all Dragon Gate stuff down here? Because there was no people that get upset about the noise from the railway. Unlike over here where you've got houses right across from it. Well, I guess there's no demand for low density commercial then for some reason. Just high density. But regardless of that, I want to whip out me handy dandy little bit of gravel road here. Connect on a little summit like that. So I can remove the key upgrade from that one section there. And now we have some more zoning available for some commercial properties. That was annoying as they're not having that square able to be filled. And while I'm doing here, let's connect another path. Just to the end of the key path though. Now it's special, it's not a crossing or anything like that. And now I want to see about getting a ground level path connected without disrupting any zoning. Let's see. Ooh, no zoning disrupted. Happy days. Now we got ground level connectivity and the skywalk. Tell you what, like Split City's really coming together now, innit? I mean, like actually coming together, you know? Not as split as we once were. But yeah, no, the split in Split City is, of course, the residential and living areas and the grafting area, which we've been severely neglecting. Well, I mean, we did plug a massive solar farm, remove all of the industry, give it their own fire, police, and hospital. So yeah, now we've definitely done some things out at the Grafters Split. But this episode's not about any of that. We've got no demand for it anyway. This episode is about prettying up the swamp a wee bit. Finishing up the odd area here and there. Making some key connections, you know? Some key connections like these bloody doors that need access on the side of these fancy squares that were popped in the last episode. I mean, imagine being old mate, you step with your door and you're just like, oh, where's me path? So let's plonk ourselves some path stone. Definitely just replace that building instead of annoyingly rezoning something separate. And now we've got a path outside the doorway. Now there's a couple of more I want to pop down. These little V's. And there's all me fancy little V paths in. But instead of putting a bloody path in here, I was thinking, what about a canopy covered corridor park? Oh, it's a bit long like. What about a wide pocket park? Once again a bit too long. What about a canopy covered pocket park? Now that's just right, isn't it? Let's get this bad lad plonked right in there, and then move it rather significantly with the Move It mod. Now that should give pedestrians access to cut across there if they wish, but more importantly, give the pedestrians somewhere to access these doors from. Now I'm going to be taking this white tile here and putting it absolutely everywhere. So I'm going to delete every other surface anywhere around this fancy French quarter. And there we have our fancy tiled up French estate. Can't believe I forgot to do that in the last episode, man. It was all about fancify the Frenchies and I forgot to properly Frenchify them. Yeah, definitely mildly misspoke there, but I'll leave it in. The French will love it. Now, while we're flying through the air 469 kilometers an hour, I do hope you've enjoyed this episode of Split City. Looking out at your left, you'll see the brand new Evergreen Swamp Colossal Tower. And if you continue looking out at your left, you might see next week's episode. Depends if I fancy doing a bit of graft in the Grafter Split, or if I fancy continuing our little swamp adventure. If you have any preferences or mad ideas for the spots you've spied this episode, let us know in the comments. But until next time, a toodaloo!